Wait, don't turn the channel. You've tuned into High Gravity.
The show where we talk about beer, brewing, and bullshit.
Where the only thing we take seriously is the next round.
So grab a glass.
Fill it with something cold.
And enjoy the show.
I am Dwarf Black. Welcome back to another episode of High Gravity, where we drink beer.
Don't do that again.
Yes, this is the third week episode.
Bill, you fit in great. You know, I'm sorry, we're replacing Daryl with you. Daryl, it was a good run. We're still going to use your brewery, but Bill's back. You know?
As long as I sit in the sidelines and drink, I don't give a shit.
So yeah, we're
Well, welcome back again, Miss Bill. Thank you for joining us.
we've enjoyed Bill so much. He's still here. It's almost like we do this every episode.
He's one of us now.
But
One of us.
Yes, thank you.
One of us.
except this time we're going to drink some of our beer because Bill has been so gracious to give us so much of his incredible beer.
And mead. It's phenomenal.
And once again, as we've done so many times in the past, we're drinking some Darklord variants because I have too fucking many.
But this is also based on the festival.
Yes. Daryl happened to get a draw. Once again, legendary Jeff came through and got an allotment for Daryl. And he happened to draw. Do you want to do this one first, or do you want to do the bourbon barrel first?
No, I'll do that one first.
Okay, we'll do this one first. And these are
For clarity of mind.
Sorry, I forgot to look up. These are black wax, which I think is either. I think is 20. Let me check real quick.
Do we want Daryl or him to do another description of what Darklord is, or is
No,
do we
we don't
just
need another
assume our
description.
listener?
Everyone better know who Darklord is or what Darklord is. Yeah, it's 2020. Okay, I was right. So these are both 2020 bottles, and we have more if we need it.
Excellent.
But Daryl happened to draw the 500 batch. Like these, there's only 500 of these bottles that were ever made in 2020, and it is a variant that I have a lot of. Except this one is a 2-year barrel-aged French vanilla militia. I have a lot of French vanilla militia at home. I've never seen the 2-year. I've never tried the 2-year. I'm super excited that you drew this one.
I like French vanilla. I'm excited.
But as the description says, it is Darklord aged in Centenaires barrels for 2 years with vanilla, cocoa nibs, and coffee. Oof. I'm bad at pronouncing French words, as we remember from the River Salt barrel days, which I practiced many times.
Steve just probably corrected you in his car.
He corrected me on pronouncing the River Thames, and I know how it's pronounced, and I think I was memeing on it and saying Thames over and over, and he's like, it's the River Thames, and I had totally forgotten about joking about it when we had the episode, and he tells me that, and I was like, I don't even remember that episode. I was like, I must have been Johnny drunk.
I don't know if anyone can get that drunk.
So because these are wax caps, I'm gonna
Challenge accepted.
Whoa, listen to the episode before you say that. Well, you have to listen to the two that precede that, and then you'll
You're
get
better
the full
off not
scale.
listening.
Unfortunately, I have to drive at some point, so I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, Johnny didn't till 8 p.m. that day.
Yeah, we started at 10 a.m. I didn't leave here until 8 p.m.
Probably
and
still shouldn't have drove.
I was already at that point. I passed the where I feel like I'm going to fall asleep stage. But I had stopped drinking before the third episode, really.
Would a state trooper agree with you?
Though I know most of them around here, so yeah.
No comment.
No, we did that. We did lunch, came back. I didn't drink at lunch. I didn't drink after that. I was here until 8 o'clock.
I don't know if you're going to be able to open this bottle with that wax cap on it.
Slice the top off.
I mean, we could pop that off, but I was trying to peel it off.
I can't get.
Yes, sometimes here I'll peel it with the knife. Sometimes the wax caps pop right off, and sometimes they don't. This one is not super duper dry. We've had some really old Darklord that the wax had just gotten so dry.
My wife loves the fact that I use my wedding ring to open up bottles.
Oh, that's not actually a bottle opening ring.
No, it's just my wedding ring.
I thought it was one of those bottle rings.
No, this is my wedding ring.
Nice.
And she's like, "That's the most expensive bottle opener I've ever."
And my bottle opener doesn't work.
Aw.
Yeah, my ring was less than $50. So, but it's also the some sort of tungsten. It's brittle metal.
Oh, see, mine's like selenium.
Yeah, mine's the more brittle metal. So if I tried to open things with it, it would just
Shatter.
chip. Yeah, when we were picking out our like wedding bands and everything, and she's looking at us, oh, this one's pretty. I'm like, yeah, that's $1,000 I'm like, it's like, what's the cheapest black one you have? She's like, this one. I'm like, $50. I'm in. I haven't worn it in like 3 months because I've never worn jewelry in my life. And then we get married, and it's like, now I have a ring, and I'm like,
I wore my class ring for a long time in high school, but I was working on something and I bent it on my finger, and it was hard to get off, and I sent it in to get it fixed, and I never put it back on.
This bottle smells like Grandma's candy jar.
Stop teasing us. Pour the shit.
The only one I've worn so it's a dog tag, but it's for my dive insurance, and I've worn that since 2007.
God, that smells very rich. So one thing I love about the Darklord is even the head on it is dark brown. Like, this shit is just like black.
Wow, you smell the coffee in that.
Smells super rich.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Coffee strong on the smell, for sure.
It's very mellow. It still has a little bit of that kind of like OG Darklord taste, that kind of like little bit of that soy sauce.
Yep.
Still a little sweet. Not incredibly sweet.
I'm really tasting a lot of coffee dominance in that. This was the French vanilla one it was supposed to be?
Yeah, I don't get any of the vanilla at all.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't get vanilla at all.
Like maybe a bit of the cocoa nibs, but more so like the bitterness from the cocoa
Yeah, I was
nib.
going to say, I could see the nib side. Yeah.
It doesn't taste all that far off from just regular Darklord.
Yeah. Like, I honestly, and maybe I'm wrong on this, I'm almost wondering if it's mislabeled.
I've had a bunch of Darklord. This one is okay.
Yeah, I'm actually, well, I was so excited because 2-year barrel, exclusive bottle. But yeah, it's not.
Still my favorite is the Pierce Javelin.
And that was the River Salt barrels. Like, it was aged in fortified wine barrels. And you got a lot of that kind of fortified red wine flavor on it. It was good. He still hasn't had the marshmallow hangy yet, though. So once we have
and
the
this one's good, but not my favorite of them.
Can't remember, did we open one of those at the Christmas party?
Yeah, you had hangy at the Christmas, or chemtrail was one of the two.
You had a hangy at the Christmas party?
you got a marshmallow. What? That sounds pretty fun.
Nobody's going to get that anymore.
Nope, the meme will be dead. The meme has died several times.
The meme was dead 3 episodes ago.
Yep. Let's hope.
It was dead before these episodes come out.
On to the next meme. Yeah, not bad. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it, but...
No, it's not bad in any way. It's just,
I wanted more vanilla.
I was really hoping for, like, punchy in the face vanilla on this one.
Yep. Maybe it's maybe it's the 2 years in the barrel. He lost a lot of vanilla.
Between the barrel and it's 2020, so...
Well,
still, though, there should be some...
I found with pretty much every Darklord I've ever had, like, you don't seem to lose a lot of the characteristics with time.
Can't win them all.
But you can't.
Yeah.
Nope. We had that one where the lip broke, and that was the only one that ever had a kind of slightly off flavor to it. The years of collecting Darklord and
bad bottle.
Yeah. When we went to pop it, there was an imperfection in the top, and I noticed on the inside of the lid, like the lid looked a little kind of strange.
Yeah.
It still tasted good, but there was the tiniest bit of like oxidation.
Yeah.
So it's like, but it's the only bottle of Darklord that I've ever opened, which is many that was ever kind of slightly off.
I mentioned the Sam Adams Triple Bock, so I bought that off eBay. It was in 1994, and same thing when I took the black plastic cap off, the upper rim had broken off the bottle, but it was corked, and the cork went another inch down below the line, so it was fine.
So one of the officers in my brew club, Coon Guild of Brewers, he used to be a Sam Adams distributor in the 90s. And so in his basement, he's got a case of triple box, the little blue bottle.
Yep.
And every once in a while, he opens one up, and about 1 in 3 are good.
Oh.
The other 2 are just oxidized garbage.
So I got beyond lucky that one was good.
Yeah. Yeah, because literally they're a crapshoot.
If
Yeah.
it wasn't good, you still would have drank it.
I would have, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You didn't find it in a river after all.
No, I don't know that I'll do that again.
Rock Gut John, gotta love it, right?
Yeah. I knew I was risking it when I tried the river beer, but when the river gifts you a beer, you must accept, even if it's the beer that shall not be named.
Wait, I don't
not a
know this story.
You know.
Oh, John
so,
told it a million times on this podcast.
yes.
So the river by my house, there's a lot of bottles and
Again.
stuff.
Give us
and-
the abbreviated version.
Yes. There was a very old Bud Light can that washed up that was all like lights, like the can had faded. It had been out there so long, but it was still sealed. And I was dumb enough to go, screw it. I'm going to clean it, chill it, and try it at the bonfire tonight. So I did that. And I cracked it. I took a sip. Like, this is absolutely disgusting. And that's one of the first beers I've ever dumped. I mean, it deserved it.
I've got two stories for this. The first one, we used to go to do Rifle River every year.
Yep. I do Rifle River every year for the last 20 years.
And we've actually started doing it again, which is cool.
First weekend of August.
But we, one of the years, my brother fell out of his, drunkenly fell out of his tube, and was like, "What the fuck is this?" Pulled out of the thing, pulled out 2/5.
Awesome.
Oh,
One of tequila, one of Jack Daniels, and he's like,
Hell
"Well,
yeah.
fuck yeah!" And we cracked them open and drank them. They were fine.
It's liquor, yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Especially in that cold sand that has been
yeah.
like 55 degrees for however long it's been.
Exactly. And
It's
so
never changed.
No
He
worries.
was there
Yeah.
the day before and buried him.
Yeah.
So the other thing about that's old ass beer that's interesting was I went to a it's not like the garage sale when people are moving or whatever.
Like a state sale or whatever. Yeah.
Right, a state sale. I went to a estate sale and I'm looking through a basement. It's obviously like an old couple who died, and it's like, okay, we're looking through a bunch of stuff from like the 60s and 50s and stuff, and I'm like, Seaboing Ale. So I picked up 2 bottles that are completely beer that are completely filled, and I've never heard of them, but it says it's made in Michigan in the thumb, and I'm like, how much are these? And they're like, I don't know, $1. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So I put them on my shelf and whatever. And years later, Mike Capato, Revy, he comes over and we're talking about it and talking about something. And we decide that, you know what? We should just open these things and try it.
I like it.
Right? And there was a lager and an ale. The ale was undrinkable. It almost made Mike puke. Ooh. Like it was like, whoa, like it was bad. The lager, though not carbonated and oxidized, actually tasted pretty dang good.
Nice.
Like it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But it was
Acceptable.
It was acceptable.
Surprising for
See,
its
I'm
age.
not the only one that does this.
And when we looked it up and we figured it out, they went out in 1961. And that bottle type was probably somewhere in the mid 50s.
Ah.
And so we were drinking at that point at least 50-year-old beer.
Wow.
And it actually wasn't bad. It was definitely palatable.
I think the oldest beer that I've had was a 91 Tommy Knocker. And that was at the judging class. But we found, my buddy and I at Armada Flea Market, a 5-pack of glass bottle Coca-Cola. It was 1990. It was a Christmas edition.
My dad has some Christmas edition bottles,
Yeah.
I think older than that, sitting in his garage.
And we bought it, like, what the hell? Let's try it. We cracked it. It still hissed, so we drank it. And it was amazing. It had a strange vanilla taste to it. And it was really
See,
good.
we drank one of those cans of, God, this must have been like 2014, 2015, about that. One of the bottle shares we came to. Actually, the bottle share where I first tried the Sam Adams, the
Utopias?
Thank you. I was going to call it Oculus again. And someone had found one of those old Budweiser cans with the frogs on them in his shed, and
nice and warm too.
Yeah. So we chilled that and drank it. It was awful. I mean, as you might expect, but like we're doing the math. I was like, well, when were those commercials on? We're like, well, this is
1996.
25 years old. Like, let's try it.
So my buddy's barn the other day found an old Labatt, a blue light chilling on the table. It's like, I remember when we put this here, we were changing the oil in the tractor. The can was hot. We put it in the fridge, so we'll see who gets cursed with that one next time we're drinking.
Beer lottery.
It'll be me.
The oldest good beer I've ever had was, I think it was 88 or an 89 Thomas Hardy, which is like essentially an old ale or barley wine, depending on who you ask. And it actually was phenomenal.
Hell yeah.
Held up absolutely great. And that was probably 2011, 2012 is when we drank it. So it was
It's quite old.
And it was absolutely still good.
The oldest I had, I think we had a 2003, I think it was. It was a Dwarven Power Bottom, which is a variant of Darklord.
I want to know any more about that.
And I think it was 2017 or 18 when we were at the festival and somebody was just walking around with it. And like that was like 3 or 4 years after they started the festival. So it was like one of the oldest bottles you could even have. And he's just walking around like, you guys want some of this? Want some? I'm like, well, fuck yeah, we'll try it.
Nice.
It was still wonderful. It was great. I mean, it was certainly no worse or better than this.
It's good still. I think really
this is
hoping
good, yeah.
for more vanilla.
I think I was just a little bit too excited for like, kind of the rarity of it, given the amount of Darklord and variants that I've drank. This is something super unique in that lot because 1, there's only 500 of them, and 2, it's 2 year.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of French vanilla militia, and the vanilla characteristic comes through much stronger on even older bottles that are only the 1 year.
See that, yeah.
I think the 2 years in the barrel took a little bit of the cocoa nibs and vanilla out of this.
As it warms up, there's a lot more cacao. It's very chocolatey.
It is better warmer. Yeah, it has improved.
But the vanilla
I'm about to keep warming it, but I noticed that as well.
The vanilla is still pretty much absent.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
I'm also finding that it's more boozy than most Darklords we've had, which is kind of surprising.
Especially with more age.
They're a good amount of that one still.
Yeah, there's still. I was going to open up the next one, but I wanted to make sure that we finish this bottle. Like it is. It is to be respected regardless.
Yes.
Like,
I'm not going to chug it, but I would go for a little more if you don't mind. Okay.
We did. They have the wheel of prizes at Darklord Day every year, and one of the prizes this year was tickets for life, and so we all lined up to spin because even the people that it was their first time there, they're like, well, if I have tickets for life, like I'll continue to show up here forever.
Yeah.
And thank you. It's a fun day for as short of a drive as it is. It's a 5-hour drive.
Not bad.
We get a B&B. We stay there for a couple of days.
Yeah.
The brewery scene kind of in and around Munster is a little bit to be desired, but if you're only doing it for like a 2-night trip, there's enough breweries to kind of satiate you. There's enough to wet the whistle. I wish I could remember the name of the German brewery we went to there, but they did all German-style lagers and, ales and whatnot, and that was good because I'm really big fan of,
18th Street's in Gary, and that's phenomenal.
We stayed in Gary. We had a house in Gary, and is 18th Street is that the one that it's got like the outdoor seating area and all the art on the outside? They always serve tacos.
They do have tacos.
Okay, because I know we've been to it a couple of times, and I always forget the name. I always forget to check it in on Untappd.
I feel like it's the only brewery in Gary.
And then the German one isn't far away, but it's not technically in Gary.
Okay.
But the German one, the name is beyond my only 25% German tongue to pronounce.
Grüße Wagendun.
That's it.
Sure.
He's got it. You nailed it. I knew you'd know which one it was.
He had the anger in the voice.
Yep. Perfect. But I was kind of actually like,
say it with conviction, and no one will question
you got to spit a little bit just because of the volume and anger.
Just a little bit. Yeah, I think that my biggest regret was that we actually went to that brewery last in the evening, and everything around there closes by 10 p.m.
Yeah.
You know, and like I remember by that point we were kind of buzzed up. You know, Keith was driving, so we were good to go. The rest of us were a little bit. We'd been drinking for like 13 hours.
Yeah, any of these events I
And
go
most
to,
of
I'm
Gary
not gonna be
tastes
able to
like
drive.
Gary. It's like
Right.
tastes like cigarettes and despair.
Well, this was the night we got there. So we had stopped at ArcLight on the way and drank there for a bit. We stopped at some
Great
brewery
sours.
in we always have to stop at ArcLight on our way to Munster because it's on the way. We stopped at some place in Lansing because we had to get off the highway to get our tickets. Then we stopped at Greenbush because it's kind of like the last place you can stop at in Michigan, before you get back into Gary. And so like by the time we got to the German place, that was our last place. I was like, man, I wish we would have like started here like 4 hours ago because I want to sit here and drink all of their fucking beers. They were all really good.
Nice.
It's just always like the focus on that kind of like clean, crisp style. Your Kolsch's, Hefeweizens, Pilsners, lagers. Well, Pilsner lager. I mean,
Yeah.
very fine line. Same thing. And so like I was disappointed that we went other places after experiencing that because that's. With as much as I love the high gravity and the stouts and everything like that, if I can just sit down and drink Hefeweizen all day, come on.
So that kind of brings up a good point. I have this theory that all beer geeks have this weird arc when it comes to what beers they drink. And it always starts off like stouts and big gnarly crazy things, and then arcs to like IPAs, and then comes back down to like reds and things like that, and then ends up back in lagers.
Yeah, it's like where we started, where we all started drinking like macro lagers.
Yeah.
Like for me it was like Blue Light and Moosehead and shit, drinking in like Sarnia when I was 19.
Yeah.
And Busch Light when I was a lot younger than that. And
Allegedly.
But yeah, you're right, because when I started to get into craft beers and brewing and everything, you discover like that dark beers are a total interesting phenomenon, and now I absolutely followed that trajectory. He's completely right, and every single person I know followed that trajectory. And now one of my my favorite styles is like either like a black lager or a black IPA, like criminally underrated styles that encompass like that come up, but also where I'm at now, where like I would rather sit down and drink like 10 lagers or Kolsch or Hefeweizen or Helles or light beers, rather than sit down and drink like 2 or 3 imperial stouts. Like
There's the same thing in the gun world. And you get into all the fun, fancy toys, all the fast shooting stuff, all the big stuff, but part of it's expense. And you sit back and you realize, well, 22s are really a lot of fun when you sit down and think about it. And my buddy and I were at the range the other day doing some training runs, and we're sitting there, and he goes, you really know you're really into guns and kind of a gun nut and gun enthusiast when you're wearing a full tactical belt. You're fully rigged out AR sitting next to you, and you're sitting there shooting 22s at the 50-yard range, trying to bust up a piece of clay somebody left. But yeah, like you said, you come back to that simple because you realize you can enjoy that a whole lot more for a hell of a lot longer.
And I'll tell you.
Not to knock anything else. I love the good stuff. Don't get me wrong.
I am an equal opportunist when it comes to beer.
Yes.
But if I go to sit down at a brewery, especially if I'm doing like a multiple breweries in a night, breweries I've never been to, things like that, I will come down, sit down, and if I see that you have a Czech lager or something like that, I am absolutely ordering that Czech lager.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Right?
I run the same gambit.
Because it tells me a lot about your brewing
Yep.
by having that Czech lager, and B, it's just something that I could just enjoy drink. Whereas if I see, right next to it is a pastry stout that's 15% and has a million adjuncts,
Yeah, it's gonna fuck your palate for anything
I'm
else.
like, okay, well, I'm getting it in something smaller than this probably.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sipping on it, and it's something that's going to take me the same amount of time, but, I am in no way refreshed.
No.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's always that kind of the barometer that I follow when I go to a new brewery. Like if my favorite is when you have like a stout and a lager, because those are two entirely different things. Like brewing a stout and making a good stout, there's a lot of flavor there, and there's a lot of room for error that you can kind of cover up with like good flavors. But like a lager, like you make a lager, like it's a very, very basic style, very clean, but it's hard to do really well. And you go to a new brewery and you taste their lager and their stout, it's a really good measure of like, okay, how well do they grasp like how to make this style, like how to make it well. And it's one of the reasons that I bought a mug here at StarCraft. Like I came in the first week they were open.
I thought you bought one before you had a drink.
Oh, no, that was not here.
I thought there was some chewy.
That's something special.
That's how Daryl makes the beers good. But I did a flight of all their beers, and they all tasted good. Like, you know, there's, you know, we've been to plenty of brewery openings, right? Like, there's always that kind of like get to know you phase where you go from being a home brewer to brewing on a large scale system.
Curve.
You know, and it's not.
But we didn't go to a
same.
large brew system either, so.
No, but still, like, were you brewing 2 barrels at home?
1 barrel at home.
Okay, so I guess it's not that big of a difference, but it was good. It was all really good beer, and I'm like, well, I'm 3 miles away, so I'm obviously going to get a mug here. Even if your beer was mediocre, I would have gotten a mug.
Thanks.
But it wasn't. It was good. You know, I think that's Dad's fault. You know, more than yours, but
Definitely.
You know,
He's not here. We'll blame him.
yeah. And Dad makes good beer. Daryl, I don't know about him. Yes. You want to try and open that now? I've tried to carve the wax off of that as best I could. I don't want to fuck up Johnny's knife either.
Thank you.
Ooh.
So is this the one that's called Hella Booze?
I think it's called Hella Boozy. It's written in like metal text. You know, metal. If you like metal music as much as I do. This one is, you know, 567 out of 2000, but it is a Darklord aged in bourbon barrels called Hella Boozy.
Oh, man.
You guys, your glasses are empty. I'm going to finish off my 2-year French vanilla, which is still good. Again,
It is.
Want more vanilla.
Yeah, I feel like it's getting
really
better
open
as
to
it
that.
warmed up.
I would actually agree with that. And I normally don't like warm. I like and prefer cold anything. But it when I first started learning about the whole warming beers or meads or anything and the differences that can happen when you do that, I learned a new respect for it. Thank you.
I got about 10 more minutes of this, so
Yeah,
this
no.
is my last beer.
Oh, good thing we opened it in time then.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I've been keeping an eye on it for you.
Yep, just looking at
Smells similar to the last one.
Still the Darklord smell.
I don't get
Still
near as
smells like
much of the
Darklord.
soyness to it, though. Like
I like the mouthfeel of this one a lot better.
It's thinner than the other one.
The other one was thick, but it was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas this one's a little more luscious, a little more silky.
I feel like it's got more carbonation in it too. Like it's more bubbly than the last one.
Agreed.
You can really
And
taste
less coffee.
the bourbon characters. Yeah. I'm not much for coffee. This has a lot more of the bourbon characteristics to it, and I really
And I get
really
vanilla
like
in
that.
this one, actually.
A little bit.
Yep. Funny enough. But yeah, you're right. The bourbon characteristic is strong. There's kind of like a smoke
I like that.
characteristic
Yep.
from the barrel that comes through too, like that really, really light smoke.
Yeah. This one,
Not as heavy as a smoked ale, but like, you know, still a
I
little
like
smoky.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, not nearly as much soy.
No, and that's they're up in Harbor Beach where our boat operates out of every now and then. There is a soy plant, so when the wind's blowing, that's all you smell is soy, like a disorienting amount of soy. This doesn't have any of that. And
This
I
is
like
a little more dangerous for me, I feel like, because of the body is thinner and it's bubblier.
It smells a little more alcoholic.
It definitely tastes more alcoholic.
It has a way lighter mouthfeel, and it doesn't cling to your mouth like the other one does.
It's almost like it's cleansing my palate of how sticky the last one was, and I want to keep drinking it.
Yeah.
Like I want to drink this fast.
Uh-huh.
And you shouldn't want to drink this fast.
No, but I
is
want
not a
to.
fast beer.
I'm not going to, but I want to.
Yeah, I kind of want to swirl it, but I also don't want to. I want to wait until the bubbles are gone before I swirl it because I'm really
They have the,
enjoying
like,
it.
Cognac, like
Yeah, this might be thicker than cognac. I like it. They've had several different just straight up bourbon barrel variants, and
When you really dig your nose
It's always
into
nice.
the glass, you can smell a lot of the alcohol on it.
oh, it's definitely boozier.
Yeah. That's so good.
There's actually almost a little like ethyl alcohols, like ethyl acetate kind of characters, which I don't always love. But in this, it's masked by a lot of, chocolatey.
They always
roasty goodness.
They have a lot of flavors.
I would say,
Dark
they
Lord.
always pound a lot of flavors into it. I got to say, this year's the 2024 Darklord, like the fresh batch, is the best I've had. Like,
Are you biased by any chance?
a little bit. Well, as far as like, I've had fresh Darklord every single year for the last like 12 or 13 years. And this year was the best fresh batch. Like usually you want to let the bottle sit for a year or two, kind of mellows out. But this batch this year, straight out of the bottle, is phenomenal. So you've got a 2020 bottle there, which was a good year too.
I can't remember what year it was, but some year there's a video on one of their social medias of me doing it rained out and flooded, and there was a random log and that was out there, and I literally was doing log
log rolling
on it, and there's a video of me running on this log and then bailing out and falling into the back. So
Nice.
wonderful memories of Darklord Day.
And, and a lot of people don't have any memories of Darklord Day, so you should be thankful.
And there's video.
I've never
There's
been
video to prove it, and I don't know that I always remember all of it.
I've never been one of the casualties. I've always been really proud of that. I've never been one of the people that show up on like the Facebook page or the different groups of like people just blacked the fuck out at like 2 in the
It sounds
afternoon.
like a challenge. I've only blacked out drinking one time in my life.
Oh, you could, knowing you and how you like to drink, the bottle sharing at the festival is insane. Like
The line is, in my opinion, better than the festival itself.
well, so that's when was the last time you went? Because the line used to
ago.
be the meta for bottle sharing. Now it's so efficient, there isn't even a line for your allotments anymore. Like you literally just walk up and walk out like you. So
really?
it's all under the pavilion
no,
now.
it's been like 8 or 10 years since I've been to
Yeah,
the
well,
Darklord.
back then the line was great because like you hated the line while simultaneously loving it because you're in line for 2 or 3 hours going through like the cattle panels, like bullshit to get in to get your allotments.
All I heard
because,
was, I love the tentacle.
but because like you're going through the serpentine, you're constantly passing by new people that are forced to stand next to you.
And opening new bottles.
Yeah, so you just hold your bottle, and as you're moving past people, like that was, I remember that was the first time I ever tried any variants of BCBS. Like there was dudes there with like espresso and yada yada yada. That's when I met the legendary and the famous Beezy from Darklord Day. She hasn't been back since because she's a fucking nut job. And yeah, there's speaking of videos of interesting Darklord days. That bitch, look that shit up.
She's single?
Dude, trust me, you don't want to. Anyway, but yeah, the line, yeah. But I remember, like, even we'd come in the festival and it was so clamored, like there was, like the cliques just kind of standing around, and people just stand there with bottles, and like you walk by and you're like, oh, hey, can I try that? You want to try this? Or someone will come up to you same way, you want to try this? You want to try this? That was the best part. That was the best part.
Nice.
Yeah, that I do miss that part of the line. The line was nice for that, but it's also nice to just get my allotments, and now you can buy additional allotments, which is also nice, and it's all vintage variants, which is all you want anyway. But I like this a lot. This is a good beer.
This is tasty.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you want to drink an Imperial Stout, I think this one might even be better a little bit chilled too.
Fit to drink.
I could see that, yeah.
Sorry, we're all pounding the rest of our beers.
Because it's time to go.
It's time to go.
We got time, but I don't know if Mr. Bill, if you're getting close to time.
Yeah, I meant close to time. I got about 2 minutes before I should probably start heading out of here.
Well, we can say we'll call a commercial break on our side of it.
Yeah.
And again, thank you, and I'm going to shake your hand here. Very much appreciated for you coming on. Really glad to have you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much,
Definitely
Phil.
want you back.
Looking
and,
forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, and we got some others we want you to meet within the circle that I think you would really hit it off, and we'd have a hell of a good time with that.
Great stuff.
So
We're going to drink more beers together one of these days.
absolutely. So
One of these days.
yes. So enjoy this commercial, and the three of us will be back.
Here's to you, garage sale scavenger. You rise with the sun, armed with coffee and a keen eye for bargains. From vintage vinyl to quirky knickknacks, you find treasures in other people's trash. Here's to you, the weekend warrior of thrift, making Saturday mornings an adventure.
Welcome back to the High Gravity Podcast. Just wanted to shoot a
Let's shit it out.
Shoot a big haktua.
big shout out to Mr. Bill. Thank you again, sir, for coming out, gracing us with your presence. Had an absolutely hell of an awesome time with him.
Bill was fantastic.
Very glad he came out. He brought some phenomenal stuff, and definitely hope to have him back again.
We love all our guests, and they've all been fantastic. But like his knowledge and his understanding and his palate far exceeds anything that we have.
Yeah, and I think we barely scratched the surface of what he's capable of. So we'll definitely have him.
Can't wait to see him again.
Crazy knowledge, even after we're talking to him.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And talented beyond belief.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of his creations was literally some of the top tier shit I've ever fucking tasted.
Absolutely so.
And that's not just a drunken claim.
This is a cheers to Mr. Bill. Thank you, sir.
Cheers to Bill. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Salud. Slancha. Nice driveway.
What? Oh, in my nose.
The Russians, the Nestrave. Or Nestrave, depending on
Johnny.
you.
It's in my nose.
Yeah, it was.
Really?
Well, no, not literally.
No.
Figuratively.
No, Johnny doesn't roll that way.
Please snort your beer off mic, you heathen.
Oh, that hurt.
But yeah, honestly, we've had homebrew before, and it was really good. Like, we've never had a bad homebrew. It wasn't maybe not our style, but similarly to what Bill brought, there were some things that might not necessarily be our style, but they were all
Everything's fantastic.
nuts.
Yeah.
Just insane.
Multi levels of just good.
Well, you can tell that he has the particular type of autism or ADHD like I do, where you pick a topic and you get fucking obsessed and you just get it to the goddamn T. And this dude, his aughts is stronger than mine. He's
a genius. He's an absolute genius with this, and I love
savant.
it. Yes.
No, I really think that everything you did, you can taste it. There's no off flavors.
No.
Things are clean. They're remarkably exactly what he was looking for.
There's levels of complexity, and there's no discerning it from an accident. It's all intentional.
When
and
he tasted one of my beers and told me what yeast strain I used,
yeah,
that was pretty impressive.
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I have used USO5 1,000 fucking times.
I don't know the difference between any of this. Yeah.
I might be able to be this is 4, maybe 5.
But we use different yeast for all of our beers.
Yeah.
And then he tasted that one. He's like, oh, I know what this one is.
That's impressive.
Damn.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so remarkable talent, mad appreciation for what he brought to the table.
There's one very special beer that there's one other person that's got to be here for us to open. Well, by rights, there's 2 people that have to be here for me to open that one. My dad is one of them.
Let's get to it.
I'm trying. The other gentleman is... We've had some scheduling conflicts, we'll say that. But I'm hoping to get him on at some point in the future. And that's going to be a very interesting episode. I'm very excited for that one. So when we can make it happen, we'll make it happen.
That was a very interesting experience. I'm glad that Bill made his way around.
Absolutely.
He understands.
I am as well.
He understands the beverages and
better than any of us ever will. I think, yeah.
Well, and that's fine too, because we enjoy what we enjoy, and I personally feel we have enough skill and experience to make the things that we enjoy, and continue to enjoy them, and that's great. I think there is a little bit of burden of knowledge too. Once you start to learn too much, then you don't want to become over refined.
Yeah.
I don't think we experience that today by any stretch of the means, but it's annoying when you meet that Chad who's just who's overeducated and just is too over analytical about the experience, and it's man, just enjoy the beer,
chill out and have fun.
You're gonna pick things apart, and that's great, but for me, going to a beer festival, when I drink things at the festival, if it's not just incredible, I'll just dump it out. That's what you're there for. You're there to drink 50 different beers. If you're drinking 50 1-ounce samples, 50 ounces of 12% stout's going to fuck your day up. But you sip something.
With that.
You are. But
I'm not normal. I understand that.
I don't want to be so fucked up an hour in that the next 5 hours of the festival that I'm just tasting beers and loving them because I'm drunk.
That's fair. That's fair.
I walk in and I try something and I'm like, oh, this is good. This is like a 4-star,
Yeah.
4 out of 5. Dump it out.
In my defense, I'm a big dude. Takes a lot longer for a lot of that stuff to hit me. So if I was more of your scale, I'd probably.
Oh no,
do the same well.
I don't have the the switch in my brain doesn't work. I don't know when I'm drunk until I'm too drunk. So like at festivals and things, I've learned that the process has to be, if I'm drinking something and it's not an absolute 5 out of 5-star banger, I'm dumping it out.
That's respectable. It's a learned limit, a learned skill. I respect that.
I had to learn that because when you go to these festivals, and I have lots of friends too, that like their goal is like, they're like, oh, it's unlimited free beer, so I'm just gonna go and drink everything that's 10+% double IPA, this, that, the other, and I'm like that's on you. That's your choice.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm here to like find those unique experiences that are good.
Yeah.
And especially with the curve that Bill talked about earlier, that I think is absolutely spot on.
Oh yeah.
Like you start off at that point where you drink all those big, unique, interesting beers, and then you get to the point where you're like, oh, I understand.
I just like something simple.
Yeah, I understand how this
Simple,
works.
refreshing, good quality.
But simple beers are the hardest ones.
Oh, yeah.
Those Kolsch's, those Hefeweizen, well, not Hefeweizen so much, but like Kolsch's, Pilsners,
And the
Lagers,
the
Helles.
consistency of that for the brewery to
Controlling your fermentation temperatures, controlling getting your grain from the same company,
this
using
batch
the same
tastes the same
yeast.
as this batch and the same as this, and that's the difficulty. And that's why anytime I find a micro craft or whatever brewery that can dial that in and make that consistent over and over and over again, that's a winner.
Well, I think, Daryl, you could speak to it more than we could. What do you have any secret to keeping your beers consistent? Like, what's the practice?
Yes, it's called a secret.
You're just doing that because you don't want to talk. You want to cop out.
Exactly. Trying to drink over here.
I think that's called a trade secret.
So do you do what?
No, so consistency, I think, is just keeping your recipe, going through the same process every
Procedures,
time.
yeah.
Keeping track of it, logging everything from oxygen levels,
Notes.
to your gravity.
Notes is a big
details.
thing. Yeah.
fermentation temperature?
Oh,
do you
definitely.
control temp?
Yes.
Yep, keep it consistent. That's one of my biggest variables when I ferment is my fermentation temperature. Is like if I'm keeping it
Basement at 68 or 72.
right, yeah. If I keep it in
do
the
the
house,
kitchen.
like my
Yeah.
house usually has like a 4 or 5 degree swing, which is fine. But
I use
my
under the
buddy
counter in the corner.
my buddy Dan uses one of the firm jackets, like the insulation around his beer. So even if you get a 10 degree up down swing in your house, like the beer is only going to get like a 5 degree swing. So you'll be able to more consistently insulate it.
Yeah, but some of it too now is the grains. Even if you get from the same place over and over, the sugar contents from each year is different.
Well, depending how much rain they got, how much sun they got, what part of the country it's from.
Then your hops, depending what year, the alpha acids are different, higher or lower, and makes a difference in the taste.
I imagine the macro breweries, the big breweries, they have contracts that specifically say, we won't buy this grain from you if it falls outside this, original
Didn't we
gravity.
talk about that? No, that was something I read about Tabasco.
They might also blend all their
that.
shit too. I can't imagine that a lot of these macro breweries are using, raw grain. They're probably using extract or, some variant of it. Because I know they don't
When you
even
get a certain size.
Yeah, they don't even use hops. They use like hop extract, so they can measure everything scientifically. And so, I mean, there's something to be said for that. That's valuable. But I think I like a little bit of the variables.
I like the
involved.
artistic side of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's the way that
As
I am
long as it's
about.
controlled.
Yeah,
that's-
to an extent, yeah. Because like I was saying earlier, this batch of
Be a
Hefeweizen,
range, a variable range.
the batch of Hefeweizen you have on tap now tastes very similar to every other year's Hefeweizen, but this batch particularly has that nice kind of like
That
punch
might
to it.
also be because last time I made it was a year ago. And now you're remembering and tasting like, oh, this is really good.
This
And it's
one-
a years ago memory.
This one tastes
That's
like
why he
it's
stops
more...
production of things for a while. So when we get it, it's like, oh, this is good. I know
No,
that.
I remember last year's Hefeweizen didn't have that same that kind of effervescent spiciness that Hefeweizens have. It
So-
didn't have that bold punch.
So
This
the
one
other thing
has it.
too is aged out. So this is new on tap.
That's true.
And when you had it,
When I had it fresh, it might have tasted like this, and then a month later, it might not.
and
have
I
tasted
hear
this,
all
so
the
that's
time
true.
breweries aren't consistent. They're not consistent. Well, even when we make
Well,
something
those
here,
people are
But
wrong.
it depends on the age of that beer as well when you're tasting it.
There are a few things I've had that have changed with
changes.
age. Some I've liked more with age, some I haven't. But overall, the consistency you guys have here is fantastic.
Well, our amber,
Yeah.
even though it tastes the same in the first month and the fourth month,
definitely-
like on the styles, it changes through those months.
Slightly, yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing, but I think that's to be said. Like, there's a certain burden of knowledge, like
Yeah.
knowing the things that we do, or even like knowing things like that Bill knows. Like, he can pick up things more subtle than we do.
Oh my God, yeah.
But that burden of knowledge is like when you taste things and try things, and it's like, okay, I can detect this, I can taste this, and everyone's palate's going to be different.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing about brewing or craft beer is just, if you like it, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Just drink it. If it's enjoyable to you, drink it, make it, brew it, like it.
If you don't like it, figure out what you don't like, change it, try it again.
Exactly.
So if I piss in my own beer and I like it,
Then fucking drink it. I don't give a shit.
I got nothing on
Just
that one.
don't serve it to me.
So
what if
with,
you like it?
Then serve it to me.
so on the nature of this show and where the deep, dark rabbit hole I feel we're about to go, and I think we should call it an episode.
Daryl'sDildos.com.
Dildos.com. Hey,
This episode brought to you by Daryl's Dildos.
we still have some hella boozy left. I guess we should drink this hella boozy.
I'm absolutely in because that is fantastic. So we are going to enjoy that, and we're going to say sayonara. We will see you next time.
My bad. I couldn't see.
What did you do? Did you spill it? Oh my God! You spilled like 6 drops.
If you didn't learn anything today, at least remember this. Beer is the answer that makes everything better.
Can't remember the question, but who cares when you have a cold one in your hand?
Remember, everybody, drink responsibly, drink high gravity.
Most importantly, drink well.
Okay, not the well. Life's too short for bad beer.
Stay frosty, my friends.